I started almost 2 years ago in Hustlers University, or the real world Tate's course.
Bro, what do your parents think? Like, do they think you're doing something illegal? Like,
I avoided saying I joined Andrew Tate's course because I don't know how they would have reacted. My sister found out and she flipped out. She freaked out.
also, like, why even get into copywriting in the first place?
So I was working a 9 to 5. I was just working in a supermarket, kind of like, the man doing the groceries, doing the chopping corn in the back and doing that for hours. And it wasn't that great. I didn't want to do that anymore. And I tried a couple other things, but it just didn't get anywhere. So I just picked copywriting.
Your clients all die, including me. Okay, I'm dead. All your clients are dead. What do you do tomorrow to go ahead and start building your income up and get more clients?
So the only thing there is I would basically leverage two things. One is...
All right, awesome. So I'm here with the beautiful, handsome Jasper. So Jasper, why don't you introduce yourself to the people real quick? How long have you been doing copywriting? What are some of the things that you've accomplished?
So I started probably almost 2 years ago to the day. And I started it in Hustlers University, or, the real world Tate's course. And it was just like, I was in there for maybe a couple weeks. It was kind of right before Tyson started posting on YouTube, or a little bit after that, I think, actually. And I found him after a couple of weeks in there, and I wasn't getting any results. I was sending a lot of email outreach. It wasn't getting anywhere, no responses. I was sending the same exact copy and paste templates that don't ever work. And I found Tyson. I joined CCA. CCA was like the old 40 Academy, essentially. I got a client in 7 days, which was pretty incredible. And it was maybe not the best client, to be fair. Like, I didn't really get anywhere with that, but at least I got some experience working with the client. And and so since then, I basically scaled that up. Where I'm at now is almost 2 years later. I've got two big clients. I work kind of as like the marketing man behind the 40 brand kind of, and then also for an agency as another client. And I won't say the exact number, but I'm above that, the shiny objects, the shiny number that everybody says, they want to make. So I'm past that.
Beautiful, man. And how old are you?
I'm 18 years old.
18, just a teenager, barely even able to move out, dude. That's crazy. You're not even able to drink in the US and you're making bank.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a few more years left.
Outrageous, outrageous. So, you were back in HU spamming out the offer for the 3 email sequences, if I do remember correctly.
Yep.
Right. So what was that like kind of first little bit like with your copywriting journey? What were some of the things you were struggling with? And also, like, why even get into copywriting in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, why I got into it. So I was working a 9 to 5. I was just, outside of school, like on my days off or the summer or the weekend or the time outside of school, I was working in a supermarket, kind of like, the man doing the groceries, doing the chopping corn in the back and doing that for hours. And it wasn't that great. I didn't want to do that anymore. And I looked into other things, like I looked into content creation, like making a bunch of clips and stuff like that. And I tried a couple other things, but it just didn't get anywhere. I didn't stick with it. I wasn't consistent, which was the big thing. Like if I'd outreached one day, I wouldn't stay consistent with it the next day. Or I would send a whole bunch of emails one day, and then for a week I'd be like, man, this is terrible. I don't want to ever do this again. And then I would just stop. And then I'd be like, okay, I got to get in that motivation. You get motivated at 3 a.m. You get back into it. So I wasn't consistent. I was working a 9 to 5. I didn't want to do that. So I just picked copywriting. And yeah, the reason I left HU is because, like you mentioned, copy and paste 3 email sequence. If you do what everyone else is doing, you sound exactly like everyone else. You're not going to get any clients or any responses. So people were just telling me to screw off and stuff like that. I did actually, I'll say this, in HU, I got one sales call from my cold email, and it was depressing because I got on the sales call and he was like, okay, yeah, cool. I love all this. We're going with a few other calls and candidates that we're looking at, and I'll get back to you later. So I'm like, okay, sweet. I crushed that sales call, or at least I thought, which in reality, I didn't. It was an absolute bomb. But yeah. So then a few days later, I look in like the Hustlers University chat, and I saw some other guy in there post a win saying he closed a client, and he showed a screenshot of him on the call with the same client that I was on. So it was,
Damn, bro. Mr. Steal your girl.
yeah, Mr. Steal my client, bro. So yeah. And then after that, it was just like send a bunch more emails, didn't get anything for a while. So joined CCA, got clients.
Yeah.
That's kind of why I started.
Those are honestly some of the best experiences, or the humbling ones, because you don't know how bad you really I don't know how bad your copy really is or how much you don't actually know until you get humbled just real quick. That
Yeah.
sounds like that one of those. Okay, sweet, sweet. So, you start in HU for a little bit, you come over to CCA. So what was, I guess, like the first actual client that you had like? Because everyone knows your first client's your worst client, but your next client's usually your best client. So what was that sort of like, that era?
I had a long era of nightmare clients. I think that's
Mm,
probably if I were to do something different and change something, I would have got somebody to help me with that sooner because wasted so much. I wasted so many months on just absolutely the worst bottom of the barrel clients. So
yeah,
my first client, he had maybe 3,000 followers on Instagram. He was a fitness coach. Uh, he was like an ex-convict or something. Nothing against him, but like his
yeah.
business wasn't booming. So I wrote
Mm,
some real scripts for him and some emails, and that was it. No pay, no nothing. And then he just kind of stopped.
yeah,
So yeah, it wasn't great, but at least I got some experience. I got the client.
right, right.
Then I got three fitness clients after that within like the next few months.
Mm,
And again, none of that. Like the first one, I got my first 300 bucks. So he paid me 300 bucks for a landing page and some copy.
mm,
And then I had, yeah, those three fitness clients. Two of them, they didn't pay me at all. And I did a whole crap ton, ridiculous amount of work up front. So
mm,
after I closed them, I built out all their funnels. I wrote all their copy. I wrote all their email sequences. I did everything. And then they just kind of like, I don't even know. They just kind of stopped or they're like, hey, it's not the right time. Or even
mm,
though I'd already done this all for them and I didn't know what I was doing. So I wasted a
mm.
lot of time with that.
Right. Yeah. I think what a lot of copywriters don't really realize, especially when they're like, small, going for the smaller companies, is that a lot of business owners just suck. Like they're failing not because they don't have great copy, they're failing because they just don't do business very well. And they also don't have a huge vision for like, yeah, because copywriters are like, oh, well, if I get with this guy and he's at 20K per month right now, and I stick with him till he's at 2 million a month, then I get to ride with the whole business and then I'll be making just 10K per month from this one client. But I mean, like they don't, there's a reason why they're not even making money in the first place, which you find out pretty early on as a copywriter.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like it's a unicorn situation to find somebody who's super small, who actually has the potential and is going to grow to a big business. It's a unicorn situation to find that. Most of the time, going for those lower value clients is not going to be your best bet.
Right. So what was like your first big deal like?
My first big deal would probably be actually with you. So I'd worked with some other business guys in like the real estate space, and I
Mm,
got some commissions off them, but it was never something big. So I worked with you, I think it was like June of 2023 was when I started just doing
right.
email copy. And
Mm,
that was like way back in the OG days, the original mentorship before the
yeah.
new one. And yeah, so I started writing some emails and it was like 500 bucks a month. And then after that, I scaled that up to, like whatever it's at now.
Right.
And then I got a new agency client as well, which is a super big one.
Mm.
And so I'm staying busy.
Bro, now that I think about it, I was like one of your first nightmare clients. Like, yeah, bro, do all my emails, 500 bucks a month. It wasn't that crazy, but I think it was just like, what was it, a few emails per week or something?
Yeah. Yeah, it was simple.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty funny. And what also is kind of funny about the whole situation is, weren't you the very first 40 Academy student?
Yeah, very
Yeah,
first one.
the very first one I remember. I was like, oh, the first guy's in. His name's Jasper. I don't even know if I knew you back then. But then I tried to do like a mentorship, and I had a couple attempts at doing mentorship before we launched 40CI. And I mean, it worked well and it went fine. I was mentoring people one to one, but I was mentoring as if I was a copywriter and not really as if I was a business owner quite yet. I don't know if you remember the era, but like I was like, getting some copywriting clients and I was also doing the coaching thing. So I was thinking about going into an agency and, basically just a whole bunch of directions and then decided to go with just mostly the coaching. And then, things started to happen from there after that first mentorship. But it's quite funny just how far back we actually do go. So awesome. And what is your other client kind of like right now? Like what are they doing? What are you doing for them? What does that look like?
Yeah. So the other client is sweet because it was a really, really huge gig that I landed
Mm,
just on a monthly basis. And I basically manage a whole bunch of their agency clients. So it's kind of like almost two roles combined. It's a
right.
account manager plus a copywriter and strategist. So
Mm,
I have maybe 10 to 15 clients that I manage, and I basically do the communication or
mm,
most of the communication. And then I will write ad copy, email copy, text like SMS copy, funnels, VSLs, and then offer strategy and a whole bunch of that stuff.
Mm,
So it's great because I get a whole bunch of experience. I see a whole bunch of data across like different paid
mm,
ad accounts and different offers and stuff like that. And I mean, I can't really disclose who it is or anything like that because of the NDA. But one of the dudes in the business got
mm,
like privately coached by Alex Hormozy, and he also coaches me on my copy and stuff like that. So I get a ton
mm.
of experience, and the pay is great.
Yeah, man, that's amazing. I mean, one of the things I feel as though a lot of copywriters don't realize is that you're literally learning while you earn. So, you're learning a lot about copywriting as you're making money with it, but also you're working directly with people who are just making tons of money. These people are making tons of money with their business, and usually they're helping other businesses or consumers make money or do something themselves. So you're really just, really in it. So it's kind of like you get free mentorship and free scholarship and you're earning money too. It's basically the best of both worlds.
Yeah. Yeah, as a cheat code, you get, like you said, free mentorship, plus they pay you, plus it's like your marketing IQ gets 100x,
Mm,
plus when you're around all these successful people, your mindset is on point and you're more
mm.
disciplined and you're doing everything right. So you're just on an upward trajectory.
That's the only reason why I decided to go the business route is because I was working with so many coaches and so many other people in the business that I picked up a lot of the business acumen that they had. And I'm sure that you've learned some crazy things from your clients as well in the past and also your present clients and working with us and the people that we work with.
Yeah,
Mm.
100%.
Right, right. And I guess I'll go through some like rapid fire questions now on some real details, some real basics. So I hope you're ready. I know you probably didn't study, but it is what it is. It's pop quiz. First of all, your clients all die, including me. Okay, I'm dead. All your clients are dead. What do you do tomorrow to go ahead and start building your income up and get more clients?
So the only thing there is I would basically leverage two things. One is cold outreach, the right way though. And I'm
Mm,
assuming you're going to ask me what the best outreach method is later. So I'm not going to talk about that until then. I'll save that. I'll save the juice for later.
right.
The second part would be personal brand. So just basically tapping into your existing personal brand, whether that be Instagram, Facebook, wherever it's at, building an actual, because at the end of the day, everybody has a different personality. We're all different
Mm,
people. You're going to attract different people to follow you. And if you know what you're talking about and you post actually good stuff, whatever platform it's on, then you're going to have at your disposal potentially some potential deals there, and you can promote that and
mm,
potentially use that audience.
mm,
So I mean that works best like once you kind of know what you're doing. Like if you go on your personal brand and you have no clue what to post, you're posting just absolute worst stuff or the wrong stuff that makes you
mm,
look like not an expert. It doesn't make you look like an authority figure. Then people are
mm,
not going to take you seriously, and it's just not going to work. So I mean,
mm.
it's really just about doing the right stuff.
So if personal branding is such a cheat code, why doesn't everybody do it?
Probably they don't know how to do it. They don't know where to start and how to like sustain it.
I see, I see. So what about if they watch? Why can't they just go to someone else's public profile like yours? Like they go to your Instagram. What's your Instagram?
At Jasper underscore ROI.
Yeah. So why don't they just go to Jasper ROI, your boy, and look at his posts and basically do the same thing on their profile?
I mean, they're gonna look like an exact clone and copy, and it's gonna be a carbon copy. It's not gonna be who they are. And
Mm,
once we have 100,000 Jaspers running around Instagram, the clients aren't gonna know who's who. Also, it's like
yeah.
my Instagram isn't the best example. I haven't updated that in a bit.
Right. That's a really tough thing about even just like teaching people in general, because you can teach people the principles behind why they do it and then give them an example and say, don't copy this example. And if you give it to 100,000 people, 90,000 of them are going to copy the example. 8,000 are going to have no idea. It's just going to go way over their head, or they're just not going to take any action on it. And maybe like 2,000 of those people might try to, use their own brain calories in order to create something somewhat original. But I mean, if that, right?
Yeah, I would say that's everybody talks about what skills do I need to use as a copywriter to be successful. I would say the number one thing over copywriting, over funnels, over marketing, over communication is just using your brain and just critical thinking skills. Like
Mm,
nobody really, it's kind of like a lost art. Most
mm,
people don't know how to do it. They don't know how to do their own research, or they don't know, how do I self-critique? How do I do all this stuff? If I have this problem, can I figure it out on my own? How do I improve the questions I ask? Like they don't really know
mm.
how to use critical thinking skills. And that's something that you really just develop over time being in
Mm.
business. but that's probably the most underrated like soft skill, I guess you would say,
Hmm.
is that's in my opinion.
Right, right. And you and I have worked closely for a while now, and I mean, you even do some of the coaching inside of 4DCI, the mentorship. So, you got to see who becomes like more successful, which ones kind of have struggling more, or just take longer to become successful. I mean, you've been around through all the 10K copywriters who are like on this channel, even. So, I guess the question is like, what really do you think separates the guys who are kind of struggling for a long time and the ones that end up getting the clients and making progress quickly?
So yeah, I would say two things, actually three things. So one is they develop their critical thinking skills, like I just mentioned.
Mm,
Two is they basically get the shortcut, which is mentorship. If I were to go back and change anything about my journey, I mean, I never would change anything about it, but if I had to, I would
mm,
pick get more mentorship sooner, especially
mm,
specifically around copywriting, because it's like I did there were courses and stuff, but I also
mm,
kind of did a lot of it on my own without like reaching out for help.
mm,
And then, so that's the second thing is mentorship. The
mm,
third thing is that they're just in the game longer. So it's like
mm,
you look at all these business owners, they're making millions and millions of dollars. It's like, duh, they've been in the game for 20, 30 years.
mm,
And of course they're making that. So they've been in for 10 or 20 times longer than you have. That's why they're making more money. So it's just like you got to stay consistent over a long period of time. You're pretty much
mm.
just going to become successful.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of people want it quickly, and that's admirable, right? You're supposed to want it as fast as possible. Business is all about speed. But at the same time, you have to understand that the quicker you get it, like the less stable your income is. And like you're not going to be a master copywriter in 3 months. There's no matter how many videos, copywriting secrets, templates you can get, you just can't do it. No AI, AI prompts or nothing. So really, I feel as though a lot of people have a shorter time horizon than they should in general.
Yeah, you think of it basically like, okay, my goal is to get this in 6 months, but
Mm,
even if I don't hit that, I don't care. I'm going to keep working for the next 10 years to get that. It doesn't matter. So it's
right.
like you can set your goals, but you're going to stay there and stick with it no matter what.
Yeah, yeah. And a beautiful, I guess, what was it? A quote from Alex Hormozy is people greatly overestimate what they can do in a week, but underestimate what they can do in a year. And it really was a perfect example of me because I was the guy, right? I have a big whiteboard on my wall, $6,000 per month in 6 months, right? 6 months come, zero, donut, no money made at all quite yet. Um, and then fast forward two years later, and I made more money than I actually even like imagined whatsoever. Right. So I don't know what was the kind of like your goals like from the beginning. I mean, you weren't like, oh, I want to quit a 9 to 5 job and support my family. I mean, you're 18. So what was kind of the motivation behind it all?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I have a whiteboard like 5 feet to my right now, and it's got everything. It's got the date that I started it. It's got the little check boxes with every single little goal, and it's very surreal, like checking those boxes off one at a time. So it's like,
Mm,
boom, first client, boom, first $500, boom, first $2,000, boom, first $5,000, boom, first $10,000,
mm,
etc. It's very surreal checking off those boxes. And yeah, I mean, my goals were basically just I do not want to go to college, so I need to figure out what to do instead because I was
mm,
thinking I'm going to be an engineer or something, and I did well in school. So I'm not like one of the people where, the entrepreneurs who get the C's but they make millions of dollars. Like I did well in
mm,
school, but at the same time, I absolutely hated it. I was good at math, but I hated it and I would never do
mm,
it. And I was thinking of I'd either become an engineer,
mm,
which involves a lot of math, and I didn't want to do that, or I'm just gonna figure it out on my own. So I figured it
wing it.
out.
Yeah, yeah. Nice. So I have to ask, bro, what do your parents think? Like, do they think you're doing something illegal? Like,
No, they ask me about it a lot, so they know. I mean, they know kind of what I'm doing.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, they're very happy and very proud of me.
Very nice, man. That's amazing. So, did they know you were doing copywriting like from the jump? Were you like, yeah, I'm joining Andrew Tate's course and I'm starting copy and
No, I avoided saying I joined Andrew Tate's course because I don't know how they would have reacted. Probably not very well. My sister found out because I was reading emails one day or I was
Mhm.
in there or something, and she looks at my computer screen and she flipped out. She freaked out. So yeah, I avoided saying that.
Yeah, especially in good old 2022, man, where it was like the name was Voldemort, bro. You couldn't say it out loud. So now I got to give you the juicy questions. All right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. All right. No BS. What's the best niche?
Uh, there is no best niche. And I know that people say this and they say it because it's true. Like I've written copy and I've worked in so many different niches, the
Mm,
weirdest niches you can ever possibly think of.
Mm,
So I've worked in so many different niches, and there's businesses making a ton of money. There's qualified businesses making a ton of money that have the same
mm,
problems across all these niches, where if
mm.
you learn a skill of marketing or copywriting or whatever, you can solve that problem in any of these businesses, right?
Right.
So the niche doesn't matter. What matters is like, okay, are they qualified? Do they have a team of some sort and understand the importance of hiring people and paying them?
Mm.
Do they have the ability to pay you? Do they actually have like marketing set up that you can come in and improve and help them with? Like those kind of qualifications matter more than the niche.
Right, right. And I feel as though a lot of beginner copywriters like they only really focus on, well, health, wealth, and relationships. But that's how they end up working for someone who's not a business owner. They're like a solopreneur, or there's some dude who's trying to make 8K per month on school. And you're like, yeah, I'm going to get on with this guy and make 3K per month with him, as if that made any sense. But it's like the difference is completely different when you are working with somebody who is like, yeah, man, like do my whole funnel, $300, and then you do it, and then they're like, oh, I don't really feel like doing it anymore. And then working with a team that's just like go, 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 and money's like they don't care about how much they pay you as long as it ROIs. The difference is just insane, and a lot of people really get stuck with that first client. That first client that's just the nightmare client, and they think that all clients are like that. In reality, like once you get your first big breakthrough client, you really realize what real business is like and how you can make a lot of money and just have a lot of opportunity with copywriting in general.
Yeah. That was almost like my exact situation where it's kind of like, you bet on a horse, you bet on a train. It's like a lot of beginner copywriters, they'll see this nightmare client they think they can get on when he's doing 8K a month, like you said, and then they scale that up to 100K a month. And
Yeah.
it's like, that's not what happens because I made
Mm,
that problem back in the day with that $300 funnel project where I'm
mm,
like, I'm building this out and I'm doing the math in my head. I'm like, wait a minute, if I build out a whole funnel for this guy and these
mm,
email sequences, and I do that for these three clients, I'm going to be making 5K a month next week. And I was just counting the money
yeah.
before it was in my bank account. I'm like, yeah, no
Yeah.
problem. I'll close them on that. And that was not the case at all because they were just like, not moving forward. They weren't really business owners. They were kind of like part-time solopreneur things. So
Mm,
yeah, the
right.
difference is huge.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's a really big problem that I mean, like again, since we're kind of working with the 40 CI one-to-one students, we see it all the time where people really romanticize their first client and they're like, oh man, someone hired me. I have to drop everything that I'm doing and just absolutely laser focus on this guy. And my next question, out of curiosity, like, did you stop outreaching when you got your first client and just kind of go all in on him?
Yeah, not the first client, but then I got like three fitness clients that I was handling, and yeah, I
Mm,
stopped outreach, and none of them were super qualified. I mean, one of them had like a good decent amount of followers. He had like
mm,
250K on Instagram, but he was still kind of like a solopreneur. So that's
mm.
also another point is that followers doesn't always equal booming business.
Dude, I got on a sales call with a guy, 500,000 follower fitness guy. I wanted to do a $300 startup fee, and he said no. He was like, I don't have the funds allocated to that right now. Like, dude,
That's brutal.
insanity. And the next thing that I'm wondering is, how did you end things with those clients? Because I know how things were kind of like with my, first nightmare clients. Did you end things with them? Did they end things with you? Did they kind of just fizzle out and you found someone else?
They ended things with me. So the very first guy that I talked about that I closed in like 7 days,
Mm,
I gave him the scripts and everything. He's like, cool, thanks. He used them and then he just like stopped replying. So yeah, that was also maybe not the best client. The other guys, I gave them all this stuff and they
mm,
just kind of stopped seeing my messages and it just fizzled out. They stopped responding.
mm.
So it didn't really go anywhere.
Right, right. So my question is like to the guys who are kind of dealing with these nightmare clients, how do you suggest that they like actually start to know their worth? Like, do you think that they should keep grinding it out with these nightmare clients, or is it better to just cut them off early and just look for the clients that are actually worth having?
Yeah, cut out the nightmare clients. I mean, if you get one and or you're already working with one, then cool,
Mm.
you can get some experience, but it's like don't work with them for a bunch of months and never get anywhere. Like I
Mm,
did that with one of these real estate clients. I worked with him for 9 whole months, and I
mm.
maybe only made like $1,000 from him because it was
Damn.
just like, yeah. I mean, I didn't stop everything to work with him. I was just like working with him on the side, writing emails and helping him with his webinar funnel.
Mm.
But yeah, you should cut off the nightmare clients because they're not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah, it's like all the time you spend with nightmare clients is time that's taken from you finding clients that you can actually help. And my story was I got a nightmare client, it's commission only, worked for him for like 3, 4 months, did everything, right? Whole funnel. Might have made $600. And by the end of it, like he was still saying, "Oh yeah, bro, you stick with me and eventually you'll make 10K per month." And like
Yeah.
sometimes they try to sell you the dream so you can do just a bunch of free work for them. But eventually I just cut him off, not cut him off, but I respectfully was like, well, I kind of want to find different clients. And it was like 3 or 4 months before I found my next deal. I think it was 3 months before I found my next deal. So I was clientless. So I wasn't even sure if I made the right decision or not. But I think it kind of goes back to what we were saying is that people don't have a long enough outlook, right? So 3 months, no client, and then boom, 1 month, $2,000 deal for eight emails, right? Now it wasn't like a retainer deal, it wasn't something big, but it was one of those things where, as a copywriter, you have that moment where you're like inspired, like, oh my God, I got my first big win. This is actually real, and this is not just like some imaginary fairy tale I've been chasing this whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember posting my first $300 win. I was using Venmo. I posted my first $300 Venmo win in the 4D server, and I was like up giddy up late at night, super happy. And yeah, it was crazy.
I mean, that's how it is. And I of course have to ask you this one. What is the best outreach method?
All right.
The best one of all time. I'm talking about the outreach method that if any beginner uses it, it will work every single time, 100%.
All right, the guaranteed outreach method. Here you go. I'm gonna give it to you. I should be charging $10,000 for this.
At least.
Yeah, at least, if not more. So the best outreach method is nothing. So I've it's none of the like the common ones that you think of. I really have three criteria
Mm,
that I look at when with an outreach method that you can do to kind of make your own. I would say maybe if there's a best outreach method, it's make your own. Uh,
yeah.
and so the three criteria I look at for that are one, be different, because if you're sending the same message as somebody else, no business owner, they're not going to care because they're like, I've seen that message before, same thing, no difference, whatever.
Mm,
And also, that could come down to even just like a few words. Like there are simple 3-word phrases that people use on cold email all the time. It's been
mm,
blasted out tens of thousands of times, and business owners just are not going to be receptive to that at all. So, one is be different. That comes from your language, being conversational, personalizing it, different angles, however you want to do that, right? The second critique that I look for is make it something that they actually want and they can actually use.
mm,
So you could create the most different outreach angle to ever exist, and nobody's going to care because it's like they have this funnel, they don't even use emails, and you're saying, hey, send this email to your list, and they're like, okay, you didn't do research because I'm not even sending emails, I don't even have an email list or whatever, whatever
mm,
the case is. Whereas and then you also have another example. Let's say they have a funnel, and let's say their headline is okay, it's decent, it's maybe not the best, but it's also not terrible. And
mm.
you give them a funnel critique, just changing a few words in the headline. If you change a few words in the headline, they're also probably not going to care. Like you have to actually show that you know what you're talking about and give them
Mm,
something they want and find valuable, right? So that's the second critique. And then the last one would be probably just essentially showing that you know what you're talking about, you are the authority,
mm.
and you're knowledgeable, because that way they're going to know, like, and trust you. Those are the three things. If they know, like, and trust you, and they trust that you're able to help them, there's no reason for them not to hire you.
Yeah.
So you can do that through just basically your language, your messaging, being different, how you present your offer, all those different things.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what, man? It is so easy to get caught up in like the what's the secret method thing because even me, bro, I'm like a copywriting coach. I've been at this for years. I know there ain't no secret method, but you were in the chat and you probably saw it earlier today where the 40 CI students were just dropping bombs. Win, win, win. With one guy, another like two clients in 24 hours. And then I think we had like four other guys get clients or get on a call. Another guy got a 1.5K opt-in page deal. So I was on the meeting today with the rest of the team members and the coaches, and I was like, "Well, what's going on? Like, what is?" I almost felt like saying, "Like, what's the secret method?" And some of the guys were closing clients on Upwork, some of the guys were closing clients on Facebook, and some of the guys were closing clients on Instagram, literally just by going through people's funnel, asking them straight up, like, "Hey, I'm a digital marketer. Is this something you could use right now? Then the person replies, then they give them some free value, and then they get the deal. And I mean, you hear that as a copywriter who's been outreaching for months, and you just think it just can't be that easy.
Yeah, it can though. It's
Yeah.
like outreach works on every platform.
Mm.
It's just all about how do you do it right on that
Right.
platform.
Right. And that really is it right there. Like every platform worked. We teach the what, three or four, and they all work. Like all the people who came in with W's that day. And it really does come down to principles. And whenever I show like the clients that I've closed over text, people are like, it can't be that simple. I text them like, hey, how's it going? I'm a copywriter. Don't know if you could use this right now. And then they might say yes, they might say no. I might follow up with them and then they'll close. And they see that and they're like, wow, that's crazy. But what they didn't see is like the 1,000 other DMs that were like ghosted or like just nobody saw. So like, was that something with you? Did you have to grind DMs and outreach for a really long time before you got your first big deals too?
Yeah. Yeah, it's right time, right place, right message. It's
Mm,
really comes down to that. So it's like, sure, you might get lucky and get a client in the first few days. That's really just right time, right place, right
mm,
message. Some people it might take you a few months or even longer. But if you're not consistent, you're never going to get a client. That's the guarantee. So
mm,
if you stay consistent every day, you stay at it for a long time, you're pretty much guaranteed to get a client.
right, right. And where did you find your other client by chance?
The agency,
Yeah, yeah.
I got them through Facebook.
Facebook, sweet, sweet. Yeah, I mean, like that's the thing. People ask me which one is the best too, and I'm like, well, dude, we got people crushing it on Facebook, Instagram, Upwork, not LinkedIn though. I'll put it that like no LinkedIn. I don't know. Maybe somebody is doing it on LinkedIn out there, but I don't know. Do you know anybody?
No.
No, I don't know. LinkedIn's dead. Don't
Yeah.
don't waste your time. So here's the thing, man. There's somebody listening to this right now and they've been at it for months and they're kind of frustrated. They're like, you know what? I've been studying copywriting, I've been outreaching, and I'm also my own worst enemy. I'm not that motivated. I'm not as disciplined as I should be. What do you think would be your best advice to that person?
One is like, yeah, you can start with your why. What's your deeper motivation
Mm,
besides, the top level stuff? Like, what's your actual real motivation? And also, I would just say, like, the micro steps. You're not gonna, if you go from not being consistent at all, not motivated, not inspired at all,
mm,
to sending 100 outreaches a day, every single day for weeks, that's just not going to happen. So you need to
right.
kind of take those micro steps. And that just starts with the little things,
Mm,
1% better every day. Everybody says it. There's a reason they say it because that's kind of how it works.
mm,
So maybe the first few steps for them are like get inspired and get rid of those limiting beliefs you have. So like first learn that copywriting actually works, get inspired,
mm,
whatever you got to do, watch success stories, watch videos, learn about it.
mm,
The second point would just be remove kind of your limiting beliefs. I saw somebody say the other day like, "Oh, I can't land clients because I can't get on sales calls." And it's
yeah.
like the reason you can't land clients is not because you can't get on sales calls. The reason you can't land clients is because you're telling yourself you can't land clients. So
Mm,
that's going to stop you no matter what. Like for sure, there are some people, maybe their English isn't that great. Maybe there are other people who don't have experience, whatever. But we both know that there are people who have closed clients when they could barely speak English, when they had zero experience, and they close a client in a week. Like it's still possible, but it's just not going to be possible if you have those limiting beliefs.
yeah, yeah, exactly. People make up all sorts of stuff. Oh, well, bro, I'm too young, or oh, bro, I'm from this country. So if I get on screen, like people are gonna just not want to get on the call with me or something crazy. It's like, dude, if you just have the skill, and that's the great part is that copywriting is literally just a skill, which is why, in my opinion, I just went for it over something like drop shipping or affiliate marketing because those are cool and all, and sure, skills are involved, but a huge portion of that is due to like the market. Like if I was doing like stock trading or something like I could be really skilled, but just have really bad luck and everything just go bad. Whereas copywriting, it really does come down to if you're really highly skilled at what you do, copywriting wise, and of course, if you're a very skilled copywriter, outreach is just like you're marketing yourself. So it's almost in the same thing. But if you build those skills, then you can really just do it. And the other thing that I like that you said was just build your own belief, right? And I hear this a lot from like people who are either in the programs or even in just like the free school community groups where you just put yourself around other copywriters or around people who are winning or around people who are legitimately actually dedicated. And all of a sudden, it's like you actually see what's possible and you get inspired on a daily basis, which is a huge part of it.
Yeah. The only reason I stayed consistent and stayed in it for so long is because I had those people winning around me. Like, if I just stayed on
Mm,
my own, isolated, lone wolf, never talked to anybody in the space, first of all, my skills wouldn't have increased because I wouldn't have been like masterminding with
Mm,
people, thinking up of new ideas and stuff like that. Second of all, I would have just quit because I would have been like, nah, this isn't real. This doesn't work. I would have been super demotivated. And so,
mm,
yeah, you got to have the right people around you for sure, the right environment.
mm. Speaking of people and environment, what's next for you, man? Like, do you have anything coming up? Any cool events you're going to?
Yeah, so in February, I'm going to Vegas for a the funnel hacking live event,
Mm,
Russell Brunson, and I'm still figuring all that out, but it's going to be sweet, a huge marketing event. And after
mm,
that, I'm not really sure. I recently went to Romania, which was sweet. That was like the
mm,
first time I've ever really traveled outside of the country, and I was able to, pay for my own plane ticket and pay for the food and pay for the travel and the hotel and stuff like that.
mm.
So yeah,
Yeah, man, that's wicked. I mean, I'll be seeing you there. We'll be doing the 4D meetup.
yep.
Awesome. So why did you go to Romania? Was it literally just to meet Costin or what?
Yeah, meet the Romanian boss, plus some of the other OG students in there in the 40 Academy.
Mm,
And yeah, we just hung out, had a good time, and it was
mm.
awesome.
Yeah, one of the other super valuable pieces of copywriting or just business entrepreneurship in general is just the people you meet. Because the beautiful thing about entrepreneurship is that it's mostly centered around just like self improvement and being your best self. And you just go out into the streets or just like outside in the normal, not many people are like that. But entrepreneurship is just a concentrated amount of those types of people. So that's one of the best parts about it. And the people you meet are just amazing as well.
That's also something I've picked up from all my clients is like they all have these very, very inspiring stories, and they all kind of go through the same exact hero's journey that you go through.
Mm.
It's like you sucked for a while, you didn't get any results, you didn't get a lot of sleep, and eventually you just pushed through and made it work. And
Mm.
all of these clients, I mean, I've talked to them about it, and it's like they have very inspirational stories of how they went from essentially nothing to very successful. And
Mm.
so that's a big part is you got to be inspired. You got to find somebody, maybe somebody you look up to or somebody that has a big influence on you or your
Mm.
beliefs or whatever, and just maybe look into their success story and get inspiration, any sort of inspiration you can get.
Right, right, exactly. Well, man, I'm sure a lot of people are inspired by your story. Thanks so much for coming on with us, brother. We really appreciate it. That was awesome. Where can the people find you?
Yeah, just on Instagram, it's just Jasper underscore ROI. That's my Instagram, and you can go ahead and follow me there.
Great, great. You heard the man, Jasper underscore ROI. Thanks so much for coming on, man. And of course, everybody watching this video, I'll leave some other videos on screen for you now. And of course, I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Peace.